recording. Okay, let's see how it goes. Oh. All right, so let me. All these Zoom stuff's giving me not much space. All right, so let's do unit testing 1. Actually, let's do it with 9 because it looks more fancy. Right. So usually what I do, I just copy and paste the first section and style it a bit. So this one I change. Oh. So objectives. And let's see what our objectives are. Great, so explain what automated testing is and its importance and use Jest to test functions. So we're just doing basic unit testing. All right, and basically usually I try to route it through the whole TK, so let's do that now. So testing is essential for software quality, it should be integrated. Beginning to end, we should not wait until the feature is complete. All right, so it's basically saying that testing is important and that it works. Okay, why test? So this it's more like there are like reasons to do it. But let's try to get something out of that. So why should we test? All right. So now right here, let's see automated testing, minimizing risk of bugs. Okay, so it should be part of every developer workflow. The feature, oh, so I should get on it. Feature is not done until it's fully tested. All right. So right here, I think we can get out of this. So basically, just like the main part. And usually, I would write this, but right now, I think it's just to save time. And this one, I'm just gonna put it up here. This, and I'm gonna change this to should not be optional. I usually when I do notes, I try to change like the wording because I think that helps to kind of understand what you're writing. Just try to write it in a different way. And actually, I'm just gonna leave it like that. Let's. All right. Okay, so then we have benefits and okay, so it looks that there's a lot of like just like theoretical stuff and not much code on this one. But we already started, so let's just keep going. I thought there was going to be a bit more code. All right. So let's keep going. Okay, so basically just pros and cons. And I think that can, let's just do pros and start list and cons. And also this program is called BoostNote. I really like it. It's just for like note taking for developers. So get bugs faster, reduces risk of regressions, and actually let's look for the regressions. So definition. And we should have, okay, return a former or less developed state. So that's important. So let's copy that, and then let's add a quick note and say regressions. And I'm just going to paste that because that word sounds a bit complicated, so I might not remember it later on. Right. So we got that, and let's just say find bugs faster. All right. So make us think about the edge cases. I mean, yes, but I don't think it's essential because that's something that happens when you're creating the test. Acts as a safety net, making changes and refactoring. Right, so let's write that as something like avoid or prevent bugs when making changes. Because we're actually, I wanna just keep it that way. All right, and then acts as documentation for code. So here we can say I don't like documentation, so I'm going to say more like set of rules. It's a set of rules for the code and encourages us to write more tests. All right. So I pretty much leave out the things that are like just that come just by like reading these or by writing tests. So I don't think like this type of information. I mean, it's good to read it, but I don't think it's good for like notes because that when you're writing, it should come naturally. So you're writing tests, you see you're doing better code, you're getting more bugs, finding more bugs easier. So it encourages to do that. And why not testing? Okay, so this one is a good one. Extensive manual code testing, so that's expensive. So cons, no test. Okay, what can I write? There you go. Manual testing. Time consuming equal expensive. All right. And then causes bugs and edge cases to be encountered later. We're already touching that. Okay, that's a good one. Refactoring can lead to bugs, to unknown. I think that's a better word. And I think that's how you write unknown. And so I have really bad spelling. So let's check unknown. And yeah, seems to be written that way. So let's get that right. And can make code bases fragile and expensive to maintain. We already mentioned this. Make less documented. Okay, so we already mentioned that too. Actually, you can have it like no set of written rules. And like that. And just quick, do that real quick. So we have our pros and cons, so we can keep going. And types of testing, actually, I don't know if I know all of these just from like different YouTube videos, if I actually went through these before. Okay, so let's go with types of testing, and this should be relatively quick. So unit testing, So unit testing is the test smart units of software in isolation. There are usually many unit tests in a code base, and because the tests are meant to be run often they need to be fast. Okay. So test, and then I can do that smaller units of software. And let's just call these methods slash functions. So some really small things. And I don't think it's really necessary because if we're coding, we're going to have many of those. So need to perform well. Okay, so test smart units and municipal units. So units of software, function, and on a comment, I'm just going to add. They need good performance and do of quantity. All right. And then we have integration testing. So let's get that up there. Integration testing, and the same, just read it and kind of get a little bit deeper just by like changing the way we write it, or like I write it. In this level, several units of software tested as a group. Okay, so integration would be like testing a component instead of testing functions within a component or methods within a component. So I can actually add that as an example. And so let's say testing many units as a group. Ensuring they work together properly. Together. And that doesn't look right, so let's, yeah, there we go. All right, so, and in a comment, I'm just gonna add an asterisk just because I'm not entirely sure, but components. And actually, 0.2, there we go. Okay, and after that, hopefully we'll see some code after this. So research and other types of testing. And that's more as a stretch. But it's good to know. Usually I would also look these up and kind of look more into them. Or just find a YouTube video that explains all of them and make some notes. But now learn to use Jest. And actually we're missing end-to-end. So let's get that real quick. And actually here I'm missing one of these ones. And end-to-end. Come on. There we go. End-to-end testing. All right, so end-to-end is where we test the whole application, simulating. All right, so testing the whole application, simulating real user scenarios. So testing the whole application, simulating real user scenarios. All right, and because the tests are slow and expensive, okay, so that's more of a comment. So let's do, I would say, needs a good base of unit/integration testing as support. All right, so we got that, and hopefully we'll see some code now. And let's see, this is boring, all right. Okay, so it's very common to use different programs, all right? That's run like Mocha, Chai, or Kai, I don't know how you would say that, or in recent year, Jest. So Jest, very popular. That's basically what these things say. So, oh, finally. All right, so let's do, so I'm just gonna write testing, unit testing with Jest. And let's see what's the underline for markdown. So markdown underline. So we can underline Jest. And my internet is kind of slow. So underline. Okay, so use, that's the double is one. Okay, so that's double. Let's do double underscore. Great, and that should be underlined now, I think, hopefully. No, okay. I'll just leave it like that. And right here, most popular testing libraries. All right, and now let's go through these right here. So make a new project by creating a folder. Okay. Okay, so let's go here, and I'm just going to create a new file. Usually I just grab a random project I have open and just create a new file on it. So just test.js, and I think I still have Quokka, so but I don't remember how to use it. So let me Quokka VS Code. That Quokka is basically just like a Replit for VS Code. So it runs JavaScript and it gives you like the response right next to it. So, so like feedback for JavaScript or restart on existing files. So Command K and Q. So let's just try that real quick. Hi, Command K and Q. So I think now Quokka should be running. So I think this is okay. So let's try, there we go. So right here, this is like the return for it. That's what I missed using Quokka. So let's just test something real quick. Test, actually, hi, test. Great, now that's working. So let me close all of these right here. Okay, too many files. All right. And now let's go here for a sec. So I think that's right there. Yeah, great. All right, so now let's go to terminal. Close this right here. So okay, so I think I'm going to have to run yarn init just to have a, actually, let me change this file in here so I can just install a dependency. All right, so CD, I think I move it to backend. All right, so now we need to install Jest. So I'm going to skip these right now. So just to make sure you have Jest first. So yarn add Jest as a dev dependency. Okay, well that gets installed. I'm going to create the folders. So I'll make a source folder. So make directory. Okay, so I don't need the helpers.js. Actually, I'm just going to create a new file. I'm going to skip the source folder. So we're just going to touch. That's how you create a new file on the terminal. So helpers.test.js. And now that should be in here. And yeah, right there. Great. So we need to create a JS configuration. So let's, okay, great. That just got installed. So let's, oh, there we go. Yarn Jest, let me try if it just init works. Yeah, I think that, yeah, so I need to do it the way they say. So just init. Choose yes. Yes. Yes, please. Using Node. No. No, I'm pretty sure there should have been a command just to avoid doing all of these. Okay, so let's, no, okay, we had that. We have that now. So now we have the jest.config file. And I think this part was added automatically. So right here, we have jest, yeah, we have test, jest. And actually, let's see, where's that? Just watch all. Okay, so let's have that there. Watch all. This way we don't need to run tests manually every time we change our code. Great. And just config. It just is to take a look, so we don't really need to do anything, but let's just quickly see. So all important module in your test should be mocked automatically. Auto mock, stop running above. Okay. Okay, so it's way too many things. I'm not going to read through all of those. So test environment is just saying to run the test on Node using Node. And yeah, that's basically it. And all of that is just too much stuff to go through. Okay. So I think we're basically ready to start. So let me run Quokka again on this. So command KQ. Okay, that's working. So now let's just create function. So const sum, and this one gets two numbers. So let's say x and y. Now right here, let's just return x plus y. Great. And we have to export it. Okay, so I think maybe I need to, yeah. So now we're exporting the form. It's a bit different, but it's basically doing the same thing. But I don't think we need an exports.sum. And then write our first describe block in helper jest. The variable describe is globally injected by jest, so we don't have to import it. So now let's just test that. So that should be const. Let's call it helper because that's how they called it. Require, which requires kind of doing the import, but like the JavaScript way or the Node.js way. So that should be on just test, right? And now let's call describe, which actually I think I would read the docs first, or just read through the examples in docs. Maybe it's these ones, but I think I would go through that first. So actually, let's just check the docs to see if they're super complicated or not. So just docs. Because I'm not learning a lot from these. So from this, I'm kind of just learning the like how to use it. But I don't really know what's going on. So getting started, let's see. So yeah, basically they have the same one. So create some jest. Okay, so the jest example is even worse. uh, let's see. So using matchers. Let's look for describe. I want to see what that does. Here we go. So describe, which is basically what we're going to be using right here. Let's see example and write that out first. So basically we're saying that we're testing a sum function and it receives a callback function, and I'm just going to say test here. All right. And now from that, I can see that describe gets a name and a function, which we kind of already knew by looking at the example. Creates a block that groups together several related fields. For example, if you have a my beverage object. Okay, so we do test. We can also nest the describe blocks, so to look more in depth on things, or okay, so to add a hierarchy on testing things. Right, so I think that's good enough just to have like a basic understanding. So we know we can add a hierarchy, so and we can test them. Okay, so let's keep going with this. Okay, so some function. Let's actually try to replicate that. And let's go with another describe. So sum of 2. And it gets another callback function. And in here is a test block, test runner, and you may add in over to test, describe block. Usually one test to test each single thing of the way the function should behave. Okay, so wrap-up test by comparing expected output with actual output, not that to be, compares values for strict equality. All right, so right here, we know that they're using what they expect the answer to be and what uh, what we're going to give it into it. So let's look real quick for expect and to be on the docs. So expect, let's see. So doing this, it's just kind of like getting a bit ahead from the TK because we're not just following what they're telling us to do. We're kind of learning because this way we don't really learn much. It just kind of prepares us so we're not completely lost during the lectures. But like kind of looking a bit deeper, and it doesn't really take much time. We can get like more knowledge of what we're learning. So the expect function is used every time you want to test a value. Okay, so that makes sense, and that wasn't mentioned here. And actually, I can write that. I'm going to copy and paste that right here because that I'm going to get this code and paste it into my boost node. Okay, rarely call spec by itself, and we'll use spec along matcher. So now we know since everything we are going to use spec is going to usually we'll call on a matcher. We know that matcher is important. So that's the next thing we're going to be looking in the docs. So it's easier to understand with an example. Let's say you have a method best LaCroix flavor, which is supposed to be grapefruit. And how would you test that? Okay, so on the spec is where we're running a function, and then we're going to give it a to be, so we're going to give it an answer. Okay, so this is really helpful. So we know we're going to use match next, and actually I'm going, yeah, I'm just leave it expect, and if we add those, we can remove function because we already know it's a function. And now let's look into match. So a match, it seems that to be is a match. So a match is not a function. There's many matches. So let's look into that. Match. Okay, so that's a good one. The simplest way to test a value is with exact equality. And does it mention match? Okay, so here we go. Just using matches to let you test values in a different ways. This document will introduce you. Okay, so I'm just gonna get this right here. Matches. And if you also, I kind of went out of the TK for a bit before going into actually trying to use it. So I kind of know what's going on when I'm like testing it. Okay, so we now have match, and actually in match we see to be, which is the most common one. So to be is the simplest way to test a value. It's with exact equality. So to be uses object.is to test exact equality. If you want to check about the value of the object, use equals instead. Okay, so how much time we have left? 4 minutes. I think we can get through these in 4 minutes. Let's see. So let's quickly look what object.is is. Hate when that happens when you repeat the same word twice. Actually, object.is JavaScript. So kind of just to know kind of what's going on behind the scenes. So object.is is the method that determines whether two values are the same value. Okay, so basically, what to be is using. Okay, so now we know that. All right, so to be, and actually I'm just going to use this right here. So to be is a function. Uses to be to test if the value is equal. Okay, and this way we're kind of like digging deeper, and it isn't that complicated. Okay, and now I think we have enough information to actually go back and test it. So right here, let's do. Oh, actually, there's an id. I didn't see that. So let's look for id. Yeah, and they didn't mention it. So let's quickly look for id and what it is and it's doing. So okay, so okay, so that's going to be hard. So maybe that's a JavaScript function. So id JavaScript. Yeah, so it seems, yeah, so it seems to be a JavaScript function, I think. Function, and there isn't much information. So let's just write test real quick, and I have less than a minute. Okay, I think I'll just open another one. It shouldn't take long to complete. So, okay, let's do it like that. Test method, and actually, let's use some Google Foo. So right here, if we add quotation marks, it's saying only give me results that include these exactly. So include it with the parentheses. Okay, so this one has it. And so Jasmine, so it seems to be like a testing thing. So just IO, API, or docs. Yeah, so it seems just to be testing, seems to be something like a context. This is more guessing. Okay, so actually this one is right here. This is a testing block. So it seems to be just it seems to be testing like the main describe function. So I'm just gonna go with that. It function testing block, and maybe later I can ask somewhere. Okay, and now we know it's enough. So we have to get the values we're gonna use to test. So expected, we're expecting a 3, and const